Good evening, and welcome to another perplexing version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your perspicuous and persnickety host, Voice of Doom. Hello everybody. Okay, I'm back and I'm going to do another boring diatribe for you because I'm getting back into doing them and I like watching myself. It's a self-gratifying form of, gratifying myself. I'll say no more on that, but I'm probably the only person on earth that's addicted to myself, but it's something. I'm an addictive personality. Now, I'm going to do a subject or two without having planned out my opinion. So it's going to be kind of a heuristic form of expostulation where we can all together try to figure out what the hell's going on. Now, I usually have my computer on most of the time, and I only watch YouTube because I have no cable, I have no streaming services. I basically have no television. I watch everything on YouTube. I could probably go to other places, but I get most of my crap from YouTube. Now, I was just half listening and it was in autoplay and it went to some thing and it was like a 6-year-old student shot a teacher. And I kind of perked my ears up like this is breaking news, and I looked at the post and it was like 2 days old. Now I'm like thinking, all right, what's going on here? A 6-year-old, which is probably the youngest, is probably going to go in the Guinness Book of World Records as the youngest shooter to try to attempt to murder someone else. Maybe there's been younger, but 6 is pretty down there. That's like first grade, I believe. So we're getting really young. And I remember when I was in first grade, and if somebody had brought a gun out and shot it, there would be all hell breaking loose because it just didn't happen. First grade was first grade. We were learning how to pronounce the TH sound and how to do our phonics. And I was reading at a 5th or 6th grade level by then, so I was very bored with first grade. But let's just talk about the coverage. So I listened to the officer say what happened, and he was limited in what he could say because we're talking about a 6-year-old. So you can't release names, you can't release a lot of information, motivation, this or that. But apparently the kid found a gun in the house, so it wasn't secured properly, and took it to school and shot a teacher. Now, I went back to my homepage so that I could get more information on this, and I didn't see a lot. I saw 1 or 2 or 3 minute blurbs about the incident, but I would have thought that it would be wall-to-wall coverage. There's not much else going on. Yeah, California's sliding into the sea. It always has been, always will. And the Ukraine's getting blown up, but nothing spectacular going on. So why aren't they covering this story like 10 blankets on an Eskimo? Because, I don't know. Let's think about it together. Most shootings are used by the media to promote gun control. It's happened for years. And they also talk about more security and more of this and more of that. I've already talked about a lot of this. I mean, it's really hard to have security in a high school because there's doors everywhere. And students come in and they go out. You have one main entrance where they always have to go in and out. it's going to be not efficient. And in schools like I went to, there were no main entrances. There was all separate buildings. So how are you going to secure all these buildings? In my high school, I could have taken any weapon I wanted to, walked straight up to the classroom door, walked in and started shooting. I could have, but I didn't. I had no desire to do that. Now, why are they not covering this? Because a 6-year-old shot. You would think it'd be red meat for the liberal gun control idiots who only want criminals to have guns, saying, you see what happens? And there could be other motivations, and there could be other impetus into why this child did what he did. I will say he, because apparently he hasn't gotten around to transitioning yet. But why? Okay, could it be video games? Yes, it could be. I've seen a lot of them. They're innocuous, or they're inebrious, whatever the word is. They're everywhere. And kids get affected by these games because they probably are having a hard time differentiating reality from fantasy at this point because of how society has gone, and we all know how it's gone. I don't know what is happening to kids between the ages of 0 and 10 right now, because they're not being taught correctly, they're being confused, and they're being bombarded with a lot of things that they shouldn't have to deal with right now. So, what is the motivation? And the bigger question is, why don't they cover it more? Let's think about it together, because I don't have the answer. I think the answer is that eventually what will happen is it will come back to bite them on the butt, the gun control advocates. Not because guns are insecure and that they can be picked up by a little kid, but by the whole way they dealt with society in the last 4 or 5 years. And going back to when I was a kid, but I mean really bad in the last 4 or 5 years, how they're basically deranging kids. They're being made to be deranged because there's no other way around it. You can't even learn pronouns in school now. It's impossible. I told you how my kid had problems with pronouns when because he was autistic and he couldn't get the you and I thing. I'm I and you're I. When you say I'm I, you're you, I'm you, you're you. He couldn't get it. We had to drill it into him for a long time before he finally just automatically figured it out. So those are the things you have to put up with when you have a kid like that. It's not easy. It's really not easy. But it's worse now because you go into school in first grade and the teacher says, I want you to write your name and your pronouns down for my list. And the kid is like, well, I don't even know what a pronoun is. And it's like, a pronoun is a replacement for what you are. You're a he or a she, but if you're a boy and want to be a girl, you can be a she. And if you don't know what you are, you're a they. So already the kid is going to be deranged right off the bat. First day of school, first grade. I'm looking forward to learning how to read. I don't know what pronouns are. They tell me I can be whatever I want. So I pick, moose and mass as my pronouns, whatever. They don't know what they're going to do. Some could be precocious and make a joke of it. I don't know. But a kid is 6 years old, pulls out a gun from his knapsack and shoots the teacher. And they don't want to talk about it. And I want answers from the general public to me because I can't come up with the answer. I've given you a few ideas to take off with and run with. But why don't they want to cover it? Why? I don't know. They are covering the cardboard box incident. They found more in other places, as I told you they would. And they actually found them right before the election, but we're finding out now. And they seem to be wanting to talk about that more. And that's suspicious, because when the media wants to talk about the cardboard boxes and they don't want to talk about 6-year-olds shooting, you got to think what the reason is. They want us to think about certain things that are so boring that we don't show any interest. And that will be their idea of getting to the bottom of everything and finding out why Petrie had all these documents. And it was an honest mistake, and we can let it go. But I don't have an answer for you. I wish somebody could come up with something or an idea of why the media doesn't want to make hay out of this shooting. And as I think about it more, not that I'm doing it now, but as I think about it over the next few days, I will try to come up with reasons, because I don't like to look at what happens and report what happens. I like to look at why things happen and why people act the way they do. They act one way with one situation and then suddenly decide to ignore another situation. I want to know why. And everybody should look at the news that way. Everybody should watch everything that way. Even the commercials on YouTube, you should watch those that way and wonder why. Why are they giving commercials about taking cruises and buying yachts and getting very, very expensive vehicles that drive themselves and all these other things, when they're catering to people that can't afford to pay their rent? So who are they catering to with these commercials? I think they're catering to the people left over. The elites will manage to have their shelters, their multi-million-dollar shelters, and they will ride out the conflagration, and then they will need yachts and they will need other things. And there will be way less people on the planet to worry about, so they will not have to worry about their precious marinas being overrun or whatever. I just went from thought to thought. I don't have any idea on this shooting. Please tell me. If I had more subscribers and they made more comments, they would give me ideas on why these things happen. But it's tragic, and I think we should get to the bottom of it. And I will give the Congress a C+ now. They've moved up. Well, C-. They've moved into the C region because of this Mayorkas thing. They are taking steps to get rid of him and to get him on the grill and grill him. And they better grill him. And I'm talking about, you have the answers ahead of time. Here's the questions we're going to give you. You better read it. Unlike Petri Dish, who doesn't read letters. One-page letter that someone gives him. I don't have to read this. Mayorkas should be given a letter. We're going to ask you about how many people are doing this, how many people are doing that, how many people you've caught here, how many people you've caught there, how many this, that. So you can come prepared to your hearing. We do not want to hear any, I have to get back to you on that. And if you say circle back to you, we will have you dealt with in a medieval way. So they got to scare the living crap out of him and make sure he knows that he better have the right answers or it's the dungeon for him. So we'll leave it there. I just rambled about a bunch of crap. We solved nothing. But let's try to work together, everybody. If I have more people watching, then they can give me an idea on why the media doesn't care about the 6-year-old shooter. We'll leave it there. And there's another one in the can. Goodbye. Enjoy the night.